الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيد المرسلين. أما بعد, Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala tells us in His glorious book about the beginning of man's creation and our experience with the devil. In Surah Al-A'raf, in chapter 7, in verse 16, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. This verse is narrated on behalf of Satan. That's what he said. قال فبما أغويتني لأقعدن لهم صراطك المستقيم. Satan said, because you have put me in error, I will surely sit in wait for them, for mankind, on your straight path. So the story of creation is Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala created Adam. He ordered everyone present to bow. All the angels bowed except Satan. He refused to. And Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala cast him out of the garden in disgrace. And he had such arrogance, and disrespect for Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala. And he had such intense hatred for Adam and all of his progeny after him. So these verses kind of tells us the mentality of the devil, of Satan, and how much he hates us and what his plan for mankind is. So he asked Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala to let him live until the day of resurrection. For what? So he can repent? No. For one purpose. He wants to ambush man and make them go astray. That's his job. That's out of the hatred that he has for man. So لَأَقْعُدَنَّ لَهُمْ صِرَاطَكَ الْمُسْتَقِيمِ. He's going to ambush them on the straight path. Now, how come, why the straight path? If you're not on the straight path, the devil has no issue with you. He doesn't need to interfere. You're going lost on your own. So he only goes in and ambushes people who are obeying Allah and try to get them to veer off the straight path. So whenever a person decides, I'm going to obey Allah, I'm going to, be on the straight and narrow, that's when your problems start. Because some people that, may not have been believers and then they become believers, they may notice, wait a minute, when I didn't believe or didn't care, I had no problems. The second I decided I want to be more pious, more obedient, then all of a sudden all kinds of problems start happening. Well, these are all from the works of the devil. He's trying to get you back to say, you don't need this. Go back. You were doing just fine. Why the headache? That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to, trying to deceive you. He puts doubts in your mind. He torments you. You want to do good? He torments you in those activities. So Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala tells us these verses so we can prepare, so we know what the devil's plan is, and so we can counteract it and be ready for it. So the second verse, verse 17 in Surah Al-A'raf, Allah says, ثُمَّ لَآتِيَنَّهُمْ مِنْ بَيْنِ أَيْدِيهِمْ وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ وَعَنْ شَمَائِلِهِمْ وَلَا تَجِدُ أَكْثَرَهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ. So Satan will come to them, to all of us, from before them and from behind them and from the right and from the left, and you will not find most of them grateful to you. That's what the verse is telling us, the plan of Satan. So let's take that in pieces. So min bayni aydihim, from before them. Now, you don't take it literally. From before them means your current life. He comes to you, or from before them is what's coming in the future. He tries to put doubt in the future, in Qiyamah, in being held account. Don't worry, Allah is Ghafur Rahim. Don't worry about doing the right thing. Allah is Ghafur Rahim. He's merciful. He's forgiving. You're not gonna be answerable for this or that. No, he tries to confuse you. Or says, tries to lessen the criticality of the accounting that has to happen on the Day of Judgment. While all of the verses and the whole Quran is trying to tell you, this is a great and tough day. Prepare for it. Don't take it lightly. The devil tries to get you to do the opposite. He, may tell you that modern life, this deen was revealed 1500 years ago in the desert. It's not applicable in modern day. It's kind of old stuff. No. I mean, that's how he comes to man and tries to get him to get off the straight path. He tries to confuse you by making good things seem bad and bad things seem good. That's his specialty. He confuses man to get you to go to hell. He may come up with fancy words, that are invented. So, for example, he doesn't tell you nudity, he tells you fashion. We see that in today's. It's fashion, it's not nudity. It is game of chance, it's not gambling. It is, spirits, not intoxicants, for drugs and alcohol. I mean, nonsense. You try to come up with kind of easy words for horrible things. That's from the work of the devil. That's all from min bayni aydihim, your current life and your future. That's the approach that he takes. وَمِنْ خَلْفِهِمْ, and from behind them. From behind them could mean children. فَخَلَفَ مِنْ بَعْدِهِمْ خَلْفٍ. That means children. He tries to come and tell you, why don't you go for the high-earning job that's full of vice for your children? Come on, you want to make sure that your children are supported. And a lot of people do horrible things just for their children and to support their family. That's from the work of the devil. Another meaning is from khalfihim, from the past. He gets you to bring up things that were from the past, to boast about lineage, to boast about things that were maybe before Islam, things that of no value, to you. He comes to you from that direction as well. وَعَنْ أَيْمَانِهِمْ, and from the right side. The right side, أَيْمَانِهِمْ is an analogy for the good deeds. So while you're doing good deeds, the shaitan comes in and starts tormenting you with putting thoughts in your head and try to dissuade you not to do them. He may come to you and say, your wudu is not correct, so your prayer is not good. And some people will sit there and make wudu 20 times. He's tormenting you. He is tormenting you like that until you say, I don't want this. Especially for people who are maybe new to the faith and not established. He may come to you and say, your pronunciation of Fatiha is not accurate, so your prayer is not accepted. And we see that from the devils of men. Some people come in and tell people, you're not a perfect Arabic speaker, your prayer is not accepted. You are the devil, get lost. And you stand in prayer and all the problem solving in the world starts coming to your mind. How many of us, you stand there and you have every intention to be, very focused and, in a state of khushu'. You close your eyes for a second and then everything starts coming to your mind. That's all from the devil. He's trying to distract you. Don't close your eyes. I read that somewhere. Don't close your eyes. Keep your eyes open. Focus on what you're saying. Focus on your prayer, and don't let the devil come in and try to put other stuff in your mind. I swear I've had in the past. You sit there for 5 hours trying to find a solution, and I can't. The second you get into prayer, the solution comes to your mind. You have to put an effort to recognize the approach of the devil and head him off. These are all from his tricks. He may come to you and say, don't donate publicly, that's showing off, so don't donate. And gets you to forget and not to do things like that. So he comes to you from, through these acts of goodness and confuses you and gets you not to do them. Now a common one that I found very fascinating, that when you go to the bathroom and you clean yourself, you're always have a doubt that you feel some wetness and say, did I leak? That would come to any person who is very focused on being pure, but having the clothes pure, having the body pure. And one thing I read that Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anh had a great solution to push these whispers of the devil away. He used to go to the bathroom, and after he cleans himself, he would rinse and not dry. So you're wet already. So if you feel wet, well, you knew you washed. That's a great way to push the whispers of the devil. And that's where knowledge and asking people of knowledge and studying, it kind of helps you fight these whispers of the devil that just are there to torment you, if not to stop you. So, وَعَنْ شَمَائِلِهِمْ, and from the left. And the left side is an analogy for all the vices. And we know what that is. He comes to you, like I said, he beautifies nudity. He makes it, this is fashion. This is, while it's nudity. It's art, not pornography. And things like that. He comes in and tries to get you to commit sin and makes it beautify and confuses you. So you think, that until you think everything is permissible. But that's his approach. And the main quality at the end of the verse, for the people who fall for all of the tricks of the devil, وَلَا تَجِدُ أَكْثَرُهُمْ شَاكِرِينَ. And you will not, they're ungrateful. You will not, no matter how much Allah gives you, you're ungrateful. Nothing is good enough. You have a great house, you have a good job, you have a nice wife, you have good children, nothing, it's just complaining all the time. A believer who is good does not complain. You take whatever Allah gives you, you're thankful. You try hard, but you're thankful. You don't complain. And there are people like that no matter what they have, they just want to complain. And that's a quality that the devil goes in and tries to get man to be angry with Allah. He gave your neighbor $1 million, and you only have 200,000. He tries to get you to instigate between people and not be satisfied with what Allah gave you. So we have to pay attention to the tricks of the devil, and Allah. That's why Allah tells us about them. So what's not mentioned, which is interesting, are two directions: the up and down. He said he approached you from the front, the back, left, and right. The two directions that were not mentioned are up and down. The devil cannot approach you from those. Up, when you make dua, you're putting your hands up to the heavens. That's where all the goodness comes from you. He cannot approach from that. And the floor is where you make sujood. And you ask Allah, He cannot come to you from that direction. So use those two directions excessively. When He comes to you and you feel His whispers, make dua and prostrate to Allah and ask Him for help. Because those two directions are only for Allah. The devil cannot approach you from there. So to summarize the approach of Satan and his helpers of jinn and men, this is not just an abstract being. He has a lot of helpers from people that are always ready to misguide you. They will ambush you on the straight path and ready to misguide you. So the first one is he tempts you to disbelieve, for kufr. He wants you to go directly to hellfire. He does not want to spend time on you. Go ahead, disbelieve. There is no God. There is no this. There is no that. And if you go along, great. Then you make his job very easy. That's his first step. But if he fails, then he tempts you to associate others with Allah, to commit shirk. So instead of going to Allah, you find solace in your wealth, maybe in your children, maybe in your family. You forget about Allah. You go and for different things. You have a trouble? Why don't you go to this strong person or that strong person, and he makes you forget about going to Allah first. So this is, that's his second best shot. And if he fails, then he tempts you to commit great sins, kaba'ir. Like adultery, murder, drugs, intoxicants, all of those big sins. Come on, do the big ones. If he found you steadfast and solid, okay, how about do some of the small ones, some of the small sins? And small sins, they're not small because they pile on each other. And you have to remember, who is it that you're sinning against? You're sinning against Allah. With Allah, there is no big and small. I mean, you are disobeying Allah, so don't belittle the small, the small sins. Try to not do them. So if you reject to do the small sins, and He finds you steadfast, then He tempts you with the gray areas, shubuhat. Get into the gray areas, because once you get into the gray areas, you will fall in sin. No, stay on the side that is very clear and stay away from those things that are confusing. You're not clear about. Stay with what you're clear with. But if He finds you certain about your faith, then He will prompt you to instigate problems among believers. You start causing problem in the community. You start going to one person, turning him on another. This is all from the work of the devil. This is Sunni, this is Shi'i, this is, my sheikh said this, your sheikh doesn't agree with my sheikh. These are all from the works of the devil. Oh, the imam is sitting there not putting a cap on his head. Since when was that part of Islam? I mean, it confuses secondary things with primary things and tries to sow discontent and division among believers. This is all from the work of the devil. And if he fails to get you to do that and you say, no, I will not take part, then the last winning approach that he has is to get you to indulge in the allowed. Bil-mubahat. You spend all of your time trying to beautify your house, beautify your car. You spend all your money on legal things. But he tries to distract you from using all of that for things that will benefit you in the hereafter. They're good, they're not bad. But when you indulge in them, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your effort, you're wasting your money. He tries to get you. That's his last card. He doesn't have any other thing after that. So don't fall for any of the devil's tricks. Allah Tabaraka wa Ta'ala detailed them in the Quran, so we take notice and we observe ourselves. So seek refuge in Allah and ask for forgiveness when you do something wrong. And if you find yourself keep doing the same thing over and over and you ask for forgiveness, then you fall again, note what the triggers are. You have to find you have to take it as an analytical approach. What is it that got me here again? And some people, and I'm not saying I'm innocent of that. May Allah, help all of us. You may spend 10 years making the same mistake over and over again and asking for forgiveness and fall again. You have to stop and say, what am I doing wrong? What are the triggers? Stay away from the triggers. The triggers could be a bad friend. You're hanging with the wrong crowd. Could be something, the TV, internet. Internet sites that you shouldn't be going to. You don't know whatever that trigger is, analyze it and stay away from it. Don't even go there. A lot of big problems start with a woman. If a woman smiles at you, you fall apart. Is that what a believer does? Lower your gaze and don't get into that situation to begin with. That's how you push away the whispers of the devil. You have to head them off. And that's what Islam tells you. It doesn't tell you don't commit adultery. It says lower your gaze. Because if you lower your gaze, you're not going to get worse and worse and worse to get to that, what the devil wants you to get to. So heed Allah's warning and remember, Satan has no power over any of us. All he can do is whisper, suggest, nag, but he cannot force you to do anything. If you do it, it's because you wanted to do it or you fell for it. He cannot force you to do it. So remember that and be steadfast and ask for Allah's help. And you'll notice if you say no one time, I fear Allah, Allah will help you the next time. But if every little instigation you fall apart, do you want Allah to help you? You have to show that you have a spine first. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لكم فاستغفروه إنه هو الغفور الرحيم.